Hey friends, welcome back to the Polish Potager. This is a full tour garden. Today is it's Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend 2025. I'm going to show you what everything looks like, kind of where I am with planting. It's been a weird year for planting. Michigan friends, are we aware of this? It got to 80 one week, then it dropped to frost warnings. My allergies, not happy. That's kind of why you haven't seen me as much. I've been stuffy and swollen and a bunch of other middle-aged fun stuff. But today it's a really pretty night out. It's about 65 and sunny, so we're gonna go around and look and do a full garden tour Memorial Day weekend. Here's what's going on. All right, starting from the back deck, you will see we're starting to get furniture out. My sister went to the greenhouse and bought me a beautiful dahlia and some begonias. And we're still in progress here with this project, but so far so good. I'm not going to complain. The strawberry towers are looking really good. I've got strawberry flowers on them. I've planted a couple herbs in here. I've got some rosemary, and these are marjoram here. The top's not planted on this one or this one yet, just because, like I said, I've been feeling kind of under the weather. But these strawberries look fantastic. Just super good. So the plan is to get these full and put some flowers in those. In the meantime, here is this bed. I have encountered some problems with this bed. Let's talk about it. Problem number one is these peas. All the sparrows keep coming down. I watch them. They come down, and for some reason they love the pea shoots. I've gotten no pea shoots long enough to actually climb this trellis. So I don't know if I should replant them now that there's more green out, or if that's just a lost cause. I'm not really sure. The other problem I have is right here. This is a broccoli. Now see, this one looks good. Hey, little broccoli head. But I had matching broccoli over there. I had to pull them because they bolted already with those 80-degree weathers, which is a thing if you're trying to grow spring crops in Michigan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're better in the fall. Sometimes you get an early frost and they're no good at any time. So we tried, it didn't work. But these things are working really good. On the end here, I have got dahlias I grew from seed. They look really good. And then I threw seed in here. These are all for zinnias. These are the potatoes all coming up right here. And then in the front row, I planted seed for nasturtium. These are little nasturtium babies. I like nasturtium in the front of beds because they come up and kind of mound over the edge of them. They also kind of put a barrier between the dogs and the rest of my bed. And they're a great trap crop. Lots of bugs like them, so they'll eat those and they'll leave the rest of the crops alone. The rest of this bottom bed, cabbages. These guys look great. These are fantastic. I think this is Copenhagen market cabbage, and this is Red Acre. This broccoli looks fantastic. Right in the middle of it, this is a potato coming up. Remember, I didn't think that through very good and forgot where exactly I planted my potatoes. This right here is that cauliflower. Looking pretty good. And then I got another Red Acre cabbage over here. And the rest of this is all gonna be, oh, there's another cabbage. The rest of all this is all potatoes. Remember, I've got a red tomato, which is that Sarpo. And the other one is right here. This is a white one. And I forget what it's called, and the tag has been eaten. So it's some kind of small russet. Up on top, the whole back row has got peas, which are not doing much. But I've also got a whole bunch of volunteer sunflowers. And then I planted some extra ones. And then all these wispy guys in the middle are red Weatherfield onions. And everything you're seeing in the front is just a volunteer something or other. A lot of little flower plants. I gotta plant something in this front row yet. I haven't decided if I'm gonna put peppers or beans here. But either way, I'm gonna wait about another week or so with these cold temps we've had lately. So this bed looks really good. Oh, one more thing. Down here on the very end, hang on, I gotta climb. Zoop. Right here, I got 1, 2 starts. I might have one down here, 3 starts. And these are center cut squash. These are gonna come up and grow up over here or up over the fence. It's gonna be magical. Hi, how are you? Down on the ground here, all of this is all calendula flowers. And because we tore the backyard up, I got grass seed everywhere. We're not gonna mow very much. Those might all bloom. That might be fun. This corner right here in front of the chicken coop is actually my favorite spot right now in the garden this year. It's got this beautiful mix of old and new things, which is funny because it didn't exist here last year. I built this in the spring, if you remember. We'll start over on this side. I moved a bunch of pots over here. Some had things and some did not. This back is a valerian plant. And I've never had a valerian actually flower. Let's go in a little bit. But if you can see, it's got buds and it looks like it's gonna flower soon. So I am interested to see how that goes. That's a plant, it's in a big pot because it can be invasive, that you use for the roots medicinally. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Right next to it, I've got some mint taking off really good there. This pot has got some snapdragons, and then that mystery plant, which is probably a rose of some kind. These right here are pincushion flowers and coneflower and a beautiful red acre cabbage. This all right here, look at that. I thought that this was the same as this. It might be. It might just be in its baby stage still. This is chamomile. It's the Zlodilon version. There's some down here too. And this is Anise hyssop, which I don't know if you remember last year, but shot up really pretty purple spikes. The bees and the pollinators love this. And then I've got some eucalyptus or some rosemary in a pot here. These are just weeds. I'll put a couple little flowers in there. And then back behind here, I've got this trellisy guy. And this is where I planted bean seeds that have been left out all winter just to see what would happen. And look, they're gonna come up. I got 3 here, I got 2 here, and I got a couple back there too. Those are all gonna climb up this little bean teepee, really, really pretty. In the front here, I sowed a whole bunch of seeds. Those are all zinnia seeds that are gonna pop up. There are ranunculus planted here too. You can see here's one of the ranunculus. They did really badly. There's another one. Really badly being transplanted out. I'm not gonna do that again. In the front, in these boxes right here, I have mini zinnias. There's a bunch of those. I got chive that's blossoming. All this is Anise hyssop. Let me back it back out again. This is all Anise hyssop that I transplanted from the construction zone. Some snapdragons, some more chamomile. These are gomphrena. They looked really rough. I don't know how they're gonna do, but we'll find out. In the back, I do have, let me put you back down, sunflowers in the toilet paper tubes. They're doing great. They're gonna be lovely back there. So in my brain, just picture this for me if you can. All those pretty vines are gonna go up here from the beans. They're actually a flowering bean called Scarlet Runner. They're gonna get all the way to the top of this and have beautiful flowers on them. Sunflowers back behind, nice and tall. All the zinnias in front, regular sized and mini with the purple Anise hyssop. In my brain, this looks lovely. And right now it's my favorite place to look. This might be my least favorite place to look. This is the mess. Here are the blocks that we're gonna use to build the outdoor fireplace. This is kind of where I'm staging plants. I've got some tomatoes that I have not planted that I might not plant. We'll have to wait and see. These are the zinnias that I planted in the greenhouse that barely any germinated. I don't know if it was the wide fluctuation of temperatures. I'm really disappointed in that. These are Cosmos. They did much better. And there's some bachelor button on the end. Here is my basil. I've got some of that in the ground. Back here is just a mess of the things that don't have a home yet. Because pretty much this back corner is going to be the permanent greenhouse. So right now I'm using this little one for plants. I'm just going to dump in everything back here. So it's a little bit of a mess. I've got some plants back here waiting to go out. Canterbury bells. Got a thyme plant, some alyssum, some catmint. And then inside the greenhouse, the only thing left are some tomatoes and some pepper plants. And they probably could go out, but with these low temps, I've been waiting. That's all that's in here. Once I get those out of here, I'll come in and clean this mess up a little bit more. I might try and build this wall of the greenhouse shortly because I want to plant things here that grow up, and I'd rather have that in place so I can build off that backwards without disturbing whatever I got vining up here. I don't know. But right now, this is the mess, but at least it's in the back corner of the yard, right? It could be worse. This bed over here, the ladder bed, I really like. It also has the little dahlias in front with the zinnia seed behind, just like the bed across the backyard does. And then each of these ladders has some pea plants planted by it and some calendula at the base. This is also the bed where I planted all of those asparagus. And hang on, I'll show you. Look a little bit closer here. Those asparagus are starting to come up. As you can see, I'm not picking those this year. It is too early. I did buy the bigger tubers, the bigger crowns, so that they would be able to be harvested earlier, but I'm still gonna wait 1 year. Down the front of this bed, I did just like the other one, and I planted these nasturtium right here. They're gonna come kind of out. And behind them, all these little things you see, those are carrots. I did some rainbow carrots. I actually had pretty good germination on these. I normally don't, so I'm kind of excited. Back over here in the middle, I put a whole batch of zinnias. And then in the back corner, this hasn't really come up quite yet. I did plant some pumpkin back here. That's what I want to climb up there. And some North Roger candy roaster. And then some climbing nasturtium. The nasturtiums are up. Those ones aren't yet. I may have to replant those. The only other plan for this garden, actually 2 plans, I lied. At every single one of those ladders, I think I'm gonna put one of those tomatoes still. Just one. I'm gonna wive it around the ladder. I'm not gonna get too carried with it. I'm gonna let it get a little wild. I'm just gonna throw one there. And then in between all the ladders, I'm gonna come plant some sunflower seeds. So in my brain, because this whole bed in the middle, I can't really plant there. The asparagus crowns are there. I'm just gonna plant more toward the back and the front and leave those crowns to kind of strengthen up over the year. On the ground right here too, I've got anise hyssop. See all that right there? That's gonna be beautiful and purple and bee attracting. I can see it. We're getting closer, guys. On this side of the snow fence, this is the bed that is gonna be new this year to me. And here's what I did. I put celery here in the front because this area does get shade from the house, especially when there's gonna be a wall behind it. It will get a lot of shade from the house. And starting right about here, I started planting tomatoes with basil in front. And these are all full-size heirloom tomatoes, Mortgage Lifter, Dr. Witchy's. Back in the back, I switched from basil to asters. Those look really pretty. They bloom a little bit later in the year. This is really, really pretty. It doesn't have a lot of flowers in it yet. I might come through and put some alyssum on the ground in between the tomatoes, or a row of zinnias once the tomatoes get a little bit bigger. I feel like it's gonna need a little bit of color. I don't know. I don't know how much to do with this bed considering it's gonna be under construction. That's where the fireplace is gonna go. The wall will be here, and there will be a little wall in front of it. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Down here in the driveway, this is a little bit sad. So I think my son knocked this down with baseball games. But I have got some really not great looking tomatoes. I'm not really sure how they're gonna do. They are cherry tomatoes. And I had to go out of town. I took my class on a class trip to Detroit. And while I was gone, the tomatoes did not get cared for in the same manner in which I would have cared for them. I also planted some more beans right here. Those are the same red beans. They're gonna come up and climb. That's gonna be gorgeous. So I'm not sure how they are gonna do. I might end up having to forego cherry tomatoes this year. Here's the spinach. I did show you that video about how I left them so they would get another harvest, and I can definitely get another harvest off of this. That looks really good. And in the back, I've got the radishes. They are still really small still. They're really not doing much, so I'm gonna leave them alone. I am probably gonna come out here and fertilize this. And then on the other side, same thing. Cherry tomatoes, little rough. These ones look a little bit better than the other ones. I will be coming through here and putting something in the front of these tomatoes on both sides. I'm not really sure what yet, and I'm kind of waiting to see how well these do before I decide. If they're gonna make it, that tells me I can put one kind of thing. If they don't make it, I might put something else there too. I'm not really sure. Strawberry beds looking just fine. These were transplanted this year. I need to come in and weed them and mulch them, but they're gonna be just fine. Lots of grass seed. You can see the construction has come for us. Out here in the front of the house, I just have these 2 buckets. There are hydrangeas in there that are not doing well. I'm taking those out. I'm gonna add some soil to both of those. And then those pink begonias that were in that back tail my sister brought, I'm gonna plant those in there and just have annuals in these buckets this year. They can handle the shade because this tree will shade those out really quickly. The front of the house has gotten a little crazy with these bushes. This bush never gets this big. I don't really know what's going on here. And I've got this ground cover. It's called Lamium underneath. It gets these really pretty little yellow flowers. You can see a couple back there. Let's see if you can see a couple. See? It likes the shade. It's not a terrible place for it to live. However, it can get very invasive. So I'm gonna keep my eye on it. Like you can see, it's all back here too. It's gotta get pulled out back there because I wanna plant my cucumbers back here. Aren't those pretty? Those are just some flowering alliums. I do have a little string trellis right there, and I want to put cucumbers there. Right here next to that, I have a clematis. Now this clematis last year went all the way up there, and I did not trim it because I don't know what kind of clematis it is. There are 3 types. Some you prune differently. So I'm letting it come in green how it will, and then I'm going to trim it up and see. It might be the year that gets cut back and kind of cleaned up a little. All right, this is exciting, my friends. Look at, I mean, that's a lot of ants, but those are peony bulbs. And for the first time, this peony bush is going to flower, which is super exciting. The ants are not bad. Peonies are actually pollinated by ants. Ants on your peonies are good things. I mean, don't plant them right next to your house if you don't like the ants, but they're just fine. On the other hand, here is the beautiful H word. What's it called, friends? Somebody help me out here. Hi. Do you see all these marks? They're all from aphids. I don't see any active aphids right here, but let me find just some. I will. Oh, here's some. You see them in there? Hang on. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them in there. Let me scooch you in. There they are. All those little white things, they're all aphids. Buggers. Okay, it's a honeysuckle vine. Honeysuckle vine. We've had it forever. And every year in the spring, it gets aphids. I've done a couple different things with it. I have treated it with neem oil. I've cut it back. I've sprayed it off with water really hard. And unless I want to go a chemical route, which I do not, that's kind of what I've got. I've been doing a little bit of research. A lot of people say that this is a frequent issue with their honeysuckle too, and they just let the aphids have it. It doesn't hurt them. I mean, it hurts the leaves, but the aphids are not going to kill your plant. They're going to make it ugly, but it's not going to do it damage long term. And they said if you actually leave the aphids and let them be, natural predators like lacewings and ladybugs will come find them, and you'll gradually restore balance in your ecosystem. Patiently waiting for a problem to resolve itself, not my forte. However, this year, that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna touch the aphids. I'm gonna leave them alone and let them do whatever they want. Now, I'm doing this because these are honeysuckle aphids. For the most part, aphids are particular to a certain kind of plant. So these aphids want to eat honeysuckle. They're not going to spread through my garden to all my other things. They like these. So they're not going to infect the rest of my garden. They're just going to play with this honeysuckle vine right here. So I'm going to let them be, against everything in me screaming to destroy them. And I'm gonna see if I can't get some good beneficial bugs to come take care of them now and in the future. Heading this way down the sidewalk. Oh, look at all that construction. Man, I hope they don't dig up my garden. Heading down this way, I am gonna show you, there's lots of hidden gems back in here. I have got these plants whose name I do not know. If anybody knows, maybe drop it in the comments for me. They have this really pretty foliage. They send up little yellow flowers. Got some eucalyptus and some calendula. Back in there, I think I've got a rosemary. And then I did go, hang on, I'm gonna slide over here. Back along the porch, I went and planted some tomatoes. They usually do pretty good here because they get a lot of sun. They're gonna climb right up there. All these wispy things back here are all lilies that I've planted. They're different kinds. I've kind of collected them over the years, and I think last spring I just moved them all into this area. Back behind here, I have got a poppy. That's a California poppy. It should be bright orange when it comes up. Some black-eyed Susans have volunteered and migrated over here. I definitely didn't put them there. And you're gonna see a whole bunch of spent tulip stalks. That's the tulip stalk after it's blown out. You have to leave these alone. This is hard for me too because they're really ugly in the spring and I'm trying to clean everything up. But if you want this tulip to come back next year, it takes all its energy from the sun and it stores energy through all these leaves until it shrivels up on its own, and then it's okay to clean it up. And that's how the bulb gets enough energy for next year. So against everything in me, I'm leaving it there. Coming back out here, I've got this plant, which I believe is some kind of painted daisy, and it looks like it is going to bloom soon. These are all black-eyed Susans that have overtaken the corner. And this actually looks like some kind of daisy too, that maybe self-seeded itself right there. I've got these really pretty sedums coming in here. And then look at this bush. This bush doesn't look like much from this view, but let me get you closer. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I believe it's a Weigela bush. It has been here since before I was here. It has never looked this gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I have had to experiment with different ways to prune it. This whole side of the bush, beautiful. The back side is all just green this year. Oh, look, it's got a couple little things come out the tips. It's just so pretty. So I believe it likes a hard prune. And when the flowers are all done, I think I'll go ahead and, isn't that just gorgeous? Oh, she's so pretty. I'm glad I didn't kill her. Heading this way, you're gonna see a whole bunch more tulips getting their energy back. But I have this sweet woodruff down here. It makes these pretty little white flowers. That is a ground cover that spreads pretty aggressively, but it's really shallow. It's easy to pull out, so I let it do its thing, and if it gets in my way, I yank it out. Back up here. Take a peek at this, guys. Isn't she pretty? That is a columbine. I also have these columbine. And there's one more variety right there that hasn't bloomed yet. These are early bloomers in the garden. They're just kind of spread in throughout here. I have to plant those pots with something. I don't exactly know what yet. We'll see. Down in front, this is the wild geranium. This is the one that's gonna get really pretty little flowers on it shortly. Some more sedums. A couple chicks and hens buried in here. More wild geranium. Up on the top right here, I have got these taller ones are phlox. They're tall phlox. They're purple. They're there and there, and they're kind of coming forward. There's a sage plant right here that I had to chop down really good. There's an oregano plant underneath that. Those phlox are getting a little out of control. I have somebody coming that might dig some of them up. But then take a look at Busha's rosebush. Isn't she marvelous? Oh, she's just gorgeous. She just looks so healthy and so vigorous, and I cannot wait to see all the blooms that come out on her. Right at her base here, I do have, these are just some white Shasta daisies. And there is something back in that corner that I don't know what it is. Here in a pot in front, I've got some chive blossoms. There's some thyme here. I planted some daisies and some parsley in there. Down here, construction signs. This is lupin. This is the one that came up from last year. Those are all my babies from this year that I planted right there, so I can kind of get a little collection of lupin going here. I've got some scarlet kales, and I planted a whole bunch of alyssum. Here's some more. Look at those pretty little flowers. Oop, maybe. There they are. And behind the alyssum, I have got some rosemary, and I've got a patch of lavender back there too. And then this beautiful iris. Walking farther down the sidewalk, this is my oregano plant. This is the oregano plant. It's like the king of all oregano plants. It is so thick and matted. I think I showed it to you in another video. I cut it so far back. It is going to be halfway across the sidewalk by the end of the summer. It is so full. And I got this really pretty alyssum sitting up in the log. Once this ends, we get more wild geranium. Again, I'll let that flower and then I'll cut that back. I put some coleus down here. And I planted a couple random things. I'm kind of letting them get a little bigger to see what I did. I got a thyme plant here. And some more coleus. Down in this crack here, when it gets a little bit warmer, I will come along and clean this up. I'll probably leave the wild violets. I don't mind them there. They can't go very far. But then I'll add some alyssum and maybe some snapdragons. This is a really, really pretty coneflower growing there. And I've got strawberries underneath there. I'm hoping they're going to colonize in there. I think they will. I think they'll be really nice right there. Over here, I have more coneflower. These are all poppies, rosemary, some coleus. This is my crazy pussy willow tree. Oh, if you didn't hear the story, I took some pussy willow shoots that were decorative in a flower arrangement from a funeral arrangement, actually. And I stuck them in here just to be a guide for another plant that was growing. That plant died, but these rooted, and they're now a tree this big. I don't exactly know what to do with a pussy willow tree in a container. We'll find out. I got phlox behind it here. I do have a bed back in this corner. Let me back you up a little bit. Back in this, I have an old baker's rack, and there is dirt and some blocks down there. I can plant something up. I'm kind of waiting because Brent is moving these hoses around, and I'm waiting for him to do that first before I plant back there. But I've had really pretty sunflowers back in there before, beans, anything that kind of climbs. I'll get something going back there. I don't know what yet. We'll see. All right, here is the wall of sunflowers. Imagine it. They're not there yet. But right now, all the coneflowers are coming up. Really nice. That's a sunflower right there coming up. I did plant some squash in here too, but I don't see them quite yet. Sunflowers. I've got coleus planted in here. More and more coneflowers. I stuck a couple sweet alyssum in here. There's the sunflowers coming up in their tubes. Here's what I'm going to say about the tubes. Okay, here's my review. The tubes do keep the pill bugs away, but they also collect water on the inside lip, and they're getting a little yellowy. I don't know if that's just because of our weather we've had this year or what, but I might have to think about that. But they've done their purpose and they're alive. We'll have to wait and see how they end up after the whole season. Further down, more and more coneflower. More and more. These are those Star of Bethlehem grasses. You can see they're about to come out and make little flowers. Those will be little white flowers. They don't last very long, and then they kind of shrivel up and go away. I haven't really seen any of the, here's some more sunflowers. Any of the squash I just planted the squash from seed, spent, and I don't see any coming up yet. Those are volunteers. Look at this is a volunteer sunflower that came up all by itself compared to one I planted. So see why we love volunteers? Volunteers are just so hardy. They're fantastic. More over here. Spent tulips, volunteer sunflowers, huge. They're gonna be gorgeous. This is all anise hyssop. This is the back side of the chicken coop. So the chickens all ate hyssop, pooped it out, and now it's growing right here in a patch, which I don't mind. I'm gonna let it go. Why not? Oh, and here, look. Here are some of the squash. And I believe I planted center cut squash out here. I think. I'm not 100% sure. This is really pretty. I don't remember the name of it. It was gifted to me. It has these really pretty flowers. It actually attracts a lot of flies, which, I don't know. Flies as pollinators, I suppose, is a true thing. We don't think about it as much. You like to think of pretty cute bees or butterflies, but flies are pollinators too. All right, final stop, in-ground garden. Everyone say a quick prayer that they're not messed with during construction because they're looking really, really good. First thing we're gonna talk about is these crazy twirly things. These are called tomato spirals. And I bought them on a whim at like 1 in the morning when I was thinking about how to stake the tomatoes in the driveway side on that new bed. They're not gonna hold a tomato. Don't buy these thinking they're gonna hold a tomato. They're not tough enough. They're very wobbly and they're not tall enough for an indeterminate tomato. However, I want to grow my summer squash vertically this year. So I am trying it there. I have 3 on this side and I have 3 on the other side. And I'm doing 3 different varieties of summer squash. This one's called Dark Star. This is a yellow one. What's it called? Golden squash. And this is a Polish heirloom called Nimba squash. And so I am gonna grow them here and on the other side. And as the stalk grows and I get a squash, I'm gonna tie it up on there, cut any leaves underneath it off, and keep tying it up. And we'll just see how it goes. The worst thing that happens is it's a failure. And I have to buy summer squash from anybody, literally, that gardens, because squash is everywhere, right? Front row here, all the way down is gonna be onions. Yellow onions or sweet onions. Second and third row is cool crops, kales. Let me tell you, this is not doing very good justice, this light. Scarlet kale is so pretty. She's just so pretty. I've got Sicily cauliflower there. That big thing is a decorative onion or a allium. It's gonna send up flowers. Past it, I have more kale. This is blue curly kale. And I have some cabbages. These are Copenhagen cabbages. And then once I cross over the middle of the garden, we go to red acre cabbage. These are broccolis. Now, these ones are making little broccoli heads. This one doesn't look too bad. But when you cross over this other decorative allium, you get this. See, once you see yellow flowers, your broccoli pretty much done for. Really, once they start to lose that tight head, they're done for. Like that one is gonna go to the chickens. This one, you can see how it's kind of starting to pop out. This one's probably not gonna make it either. I'll give it just a couple days and see, but I don't think I'm getting broccoli this year. And then I've got red Russian kale on the end here. Ooh, I do want to show you here in the front. So I've got all the onions here. I got a couple calendula. Hey baby, volunteers. I did plant seed for these ones too. And then these are onions. I've got 1, 2, that might be 2 of them. There might be 3 altogether. But they are onions I forgot last year. So when I was harvesting, I missed them, which is just fine. They're under there still. They're gonna send out shoots, but their main job this year is gonna be to send out shoots to make seed. So they're gonna do, oops, come here, baby. This. See that tip on there? Here's another one. They are gonna shoot up flowers. This one's got big ones on it. See that guy? they're gonna shoot up flowers, and those flowers are going to turn into seed of onion. So I'm gonna let those two go. I'm not gonna pull them out, I'm gonna leave them alone. And then when the flowers come up, I'm gonna put one of those little netting bags on them, like from like wedding favors. And I'm going to save all those seeds so I have onion seed for next year. All right, that was that row. The row behind it, I planted beet seeds. Now, the beet seeds have had a little bit of a problem. I saw them come up. Oh, here's a couple. Here's some coming up right here. But a lot of them that came up got zapped by the 80-degree days. And then some that didn't come up are now coming up. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out for me. Here I have got some more early season crops. This is Swiss chard. Over here, look how pretty that Swiss chard is. You need a closer look. Isn't that pretty? Listen, my family does not eat Swiss chard, but that is so pretty. Here's the other thing about Swiss chard. It is a great trap crop. Earwigs love Swiss chard. I like to plant it in my garden to get all the earwigs to come to that and eat the bottom leaves. I cut them off, I feed them to the chickens. It keeps growing new leaves. The earwigs keep coming and they leave everything else alone. All right, keep going on this lane. And the same situation here on the end. I had golden beets over here. And while I do see some coming up, really not too many. The ones coming up look a little scared. I don't know what's gonna happen here. They might come up or they might not. Here on the end, there's those 3 twirly tomato ties that I'm actually using for summer squash. On the end here, I have got some decorative alliums that came out by themselves. I also have a little bit of that garlic that I planted late coming up. I planted some holy basil there. And then on both corners, I didn't plant this out, there are some coneflowers. I planted dill and I planted some salvia. All right, back to the beginning. The next row, look, there's that dill and salvia, coneflower. This row, all the way down, peas. Again, I'm having the same problem out here with peas. These peas have gotten a little bit bigger, but these ones in the middle, I've watched the stinking birds come down and just annihilate them. I don't exactly know what their problem is. I don't know why they like these peas so much more than anything else, but they're just picking at them. I don't know if we're gonna get peas this year or not. We'll have to see. But on this middle trellis right here, I actually have got tomatoes on the other side. I'll hop over here so you can see. These are all full-size tomatoes and they're all heirlooms. It's like the Cherokee Purple. What else? I got mortgage lifters are out here, Aunt Lou's, and they look pretty good. Again, nobody is really happy about this flip-floppy weather that's going on, but we're doing our best with it. Look at this guy I just found. Hey, pretty snapdragon. You so cute. I really like you. This whole back row is all got snapdragons, and then I planted nasturtium along with them. So I've got a snapdragon nasturtium mix that's gonna be on this edge. And then I might plant a row of zinnia either on this side or that side of the trellis yet. I haven't decided. And then there's more peas over there. So beautiful things are happening. Spring flowers are out. Things are growing slowly and confused. Everybody is experiencing some kind of temperature shock, whether they like cool weather or hot weather, because we've had both. So cool weather crops are pissed that it got to 80, and now they're like, are you really keeping it cooler? Are you not? We don't know. Crops like the warm weather that I thought were okay are mad with the cool weather. There's been tons of wind, tons of heavy rain. Nobody's really sure what's going on. So I'm pretty happy with what we got going on. Other than the broccoli, nothing is a complete loss yet. And there are really good spots. So I'm really, really excited. And I'm hoping to really get these into gear in the next 2 weeks or so. School ends next week. If everyone wants to say a little prayer for my sanity for the next couple days. And then I'll have more time to get out here and make a little bit more progress. Try and clean up that greenhouse area. That's kind of the goal. All right, I hope you enjoyed seeing all my fun stuff. Have a great day and I'll talk to you soon.